This is the third attempt with this particular hammock, but this time I'm going to use the Exped Down Mat 9. I just want to get out this thicket and into the woodland, and then we'll set it all up. Same hammock, different setup. Next time I want to bring out my new nylon hammock. Got people down there in the car. Gonna have to go to the usual location. I really wanted this bluebell meadow here, but can't be helped. So I've got the Ether AG60, same as before. If I was to carry a lot of clothing, I'd put the top hood back on and then put the cassestte in the top hood there. Now I have packed this particular pack in a few different ways. I've packed it summer top and bottom quilts, winter bottom top quilts. I've also tried summer and winter top quilt and the Exped Down Mat 9, which is what we got here today, the Exped Down Mat 9, and I've gone with winter top quilt. I bought the summer top quilt out last time, but I had a down jacket. The only jacket I've got is this here, which is my softy smock of a second fleece base layer in here also. I can deflate the inflatable, roll it in the hammock along with the quilt without separating any of them, and get them all rolled into here. And this is carried separate to this bag here. I've got my DD superlight tarp in there, just loose. On top I also have the cord here. This is from the IPK. Don't know whether to go tarp up first or hammock up first. Don't suppose it matters, but one thing I will do is just lay everything out onto my go bag ration pack without the wet meals. I'll put myself the porridge, there's some biscuits, the peanuts for morale, and the usual little bits and bobs. And for lunch I've got a chocolate pudding in there. I thought I'd try a different stove this time. I'm going to try that little card stove, GSI stainless steel. I'm going to put a new bottle of butane in there. My drinks cup for the night is my 300ml ammo can cup. I use that instead of a cup. Wash kit with the hand wipes, hand sanitizer, and my ablutions kit. A couple of stuff sacks that are bonuses really. I'll show you these later on. Hammock and webbing. This time I have a bubble insulator. And of course this, which is the Exped, which is in lieu of an underquilt. I want to really test this winter top quilt from Hammock Gear US. Anything I'm not using immediately is going back in here. Trouble is with this hammock now, this colour is going to be seen with no underquilt, so it's definitely going to have the top put up in the diamond configuration. Now those deer were here last week as well. My tarp is behind this pocket here. Now this, I'm hoping, is going to sit somewhere near the end here, ideally covering the actual suspension. If not, it's a repitch. I can just about get a diamond pitch here. It was close, very close indeed, but I've only brought 2 pegs out and I can't be bothered whittling any more up. And in the bottom of that sleeve where I pulled out the tarp, just 2 pegs, just the right amount for the diamond pitch. Already I've got a lot of cover from that green colour here to the coyote brown here from the outside. It's not a bad bit of coverage. There's one thing trying this in the garden, there's another testing it for the night. Now this is the Exped down mat, goose feathers, inflatable, 9 centimetres thick, and this is its sack, its stuff sack. If you're in a hurry to pack this, it is a nightmare to try and get it in there. It's not bad if you got the time, but it's not even how I would carry it on a hike, because this is designed to sit in your pack. I don't really want this taking up room in my pack, so I brought with me a stuff sack that is specially designed for roll pads, and this will either sit underneath my pack or horizontally or vertically on my pack. It doesn't matter, but it will be on the outside, and I don't have to worry about trying to condense it into this stupid little size. This is the inflator bag, and I'm hoping that this pad is going to be even better than a quilt, but I won't know until I've tried if it's not even going to be feasible or viable. I'm just packing up and we'll do a different camp another day. Might have a foot sag down that end. It is deeper than the rest of the hammock, so this foot end will fall into it. Now the foot sag is only really designed for the underquilt, but I find it really uncomfortable. It cuts into the back of your leg, something rotten, and I'm hoping this pad's going to drop into it in the same way. Now on the ground, this pad, sometimes I put in a cotton sleeping bag liner, so I'm not lying directly on it, although I'd be in a sleeping bag. I'm just hoping it's going to be comfortable enough, because other than that I've only got my top quilt. Take the old boots off and test out how this is. If I don't like it, I'm packing up and going home. Now in any other hammock, you try and put a pad in, it'll tip at the feet on an angle and your feet will go over to one side. But not so much with this, because I have a foot sag and it is fully adjustable on elastics, and I have a little pulley system as well, so I can alter its pitch, how it slopes from left to right. And funnily enough, this is perfect just as it is. Ordinarily I wouldn't bring an air pillow, not with a top quilt, under quilt sat up. It's always best to have your little pillow behind your neck rather than under your head there. Push it right down so it sits on your shoulders. You'll get a much better sleep in the end. And I've got my quilt here ready to go, and I've put this in a compression sack. So I may as well put the quilt up next and then get a nice hot drink on. I have had one of them weeks, I really have. Couldn't wait to get out tonight. Just trying to order something and didn't come. Phoned the guy in America, said where is it? He came up with a load of BS, and I went, look, either send the product or give me my money back. And I more or less accused him of being a charlatan, and I suspected he didn't have anything for sale but just took the money anyway. He assured me he had sent it because he's not a charlatan, because he's looking at my item right now. And I thought, if you're looking at it right now, why haven't you sent it? And I've been getting into dilemmas like that all week, totally up to here with it. So for me, I just wanted to get out, get away, and this is just an excuse to do that. Now there are little mayflies still buzzing about, and yet it's just on the verge of starting to rain. Now last week I was going to come out, and the tarp I'd have required would have been a thicker one. One of them weeks. But for now, I'm just going to put the Mark II softy on, and I bought a hat as well. I'm going to need it because it is going really cold. It's not going to go below zero. I shouldn't have thought tonight. And I've had my tea. Last time I tried some dehydrated food. I've also dehydrated all my ration packs as well. I'm just going to figure out a way to make a cosy for it, and I think I've got a technique I personally want to use. I've just got porridge oats for the morning if I feel like them, and if I stay on to the afternoon tomorrow, but I don't think I will, I've got a chocolate pudding that I can heat up. I love having a pudding for lunch, so I'm going to get the lunar module fired up and make myself a flask of coffee. Right, and the water I've carried in a camelback, which is housed behind the Osprey. So I've got the little lunar module here, cylinder of gas. Make sure I can't hear any gas escaping. Water in here, 300ml, because I have a 300ml ammo tin flask, which will keep my brew warm for around hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. But my 500ml flask, the one you see quite a lot in my videos, keeps drinks a lot warmer, a lot longer. But this will do for tonight. Right, water. Always keep a bag like this in my brew kit. It has some matches, chewing gum, little lozenges, as well as water purification, which are all found in the British Army ration pack. The water bladder housing sits in this mesh here. I want to check it's all still intact. I've come over the shoulder onto a filter and gravity feed into the pot. Pop the filter back on. And I'm going to make my version of the cowboy coffee I'm going to do it the way I like it, to my own recipe, my own taste. Now this is my backpacking stove, not really an overnight stove. I prefer the jet boil for that, but this will do. It's equally as easy to light this with a lighter than it is with the piezo ignition system, which doesn't always work. Of course, in polite company, this would be my cup. I'd just take the lid off and use it like a cup. I hope it goes well tonight. I'm absolutely shattered. Painkillers are knocking me sideways. I had trouble all week. Coffee, that always sorts it out. I gently bubble mine for a few minutes with the coffee in. Simmers quite well, this little stove. For a tenner, just put the lid ajar like that. The light is closing in. It's a horrible night, it's really overcast. Right, I think that is just about ready to pour. How you set the grounds won't be how I set the grounds. Because you've seen it done a different way doesn't mean I'm doing it wrong. I'm doing it to my taste. I'm going to obviously let this cool down a bit, but the rest of it I can start putting away. That way anything I'm not using is in the pack, ready to go. Got a really quiet night. It was last time I was out. There was no wildlife to be heard. I don't always enjoy that. I enjoy hearing, you know, the woodpecker, the owls, and the deer on the top of the hill, the fox in the bottom field. They're all comfort when you hear things like that about. They're proud to be out and they know it's safe to be out. Right then, let's try this. Now this little flask should last about 2 hours, and if I was to make 300ml, which this is, of coffee in a cup, I'd be going through coffee one every half hour, even if it's 1 hour. It's best part of a litre gone. Start putting my things away. Now you'll know that I have full electrics in my setup here because I run an LED string on the ridge line of the hammock, and I power that off a power bank, and I've just got a couple of new power banks. This is my new solar bank. I think I'll use this to power the inside strand lights, and it has a diffuse lantern on the bottom there. A row here indicating how much charge I'm getting if I cover it up. The meter will diminish. I think this is the button to illuminate the lantern. That's quite a bright lantern. And I also have a power bank as well for some of the electrics, such as the microphone here, the camera, and the lighting rig. This is my other power bank, much the same size as a phone, a cell phone, and I have 96% there. Cold batteries go dead quick. Mine have their own little velvet sleeping bag, but I am going to put mine in here, which is the pocket on the hip belt, and it's nice and warm in there, so I'm going to get this into there and test the lights. Try this one. There you have it. That's a really strong illumination, and it is a double USB, so I can either charge or power two things because it's a double USB. Likewise is my other power bank, not the solar, the other one, double USB. So it's part of my bug out, that as well, just having a means to power up some light electrical equipment such as lights and radios and things like that. But on a camping trip, brilliant. So if I do have to move camp quickly, I reach behind and I deflate the mat I'm lying on. It deflates very, very quickly. My hammock is attached on the trees by carabiners like this, so I can drop the whole system very, very quickly. And then I can roll it into that Bergen liner. The actual tarp are on quick release knots, just one pull, two pegs, bring them out, one each side, and then the tarp goes into the Bergen, or in this case it's the anti-gravity 60. It's not a bad pack. I'm pretty impressed with it. So the actual pack itself is not resting on my back at all, but it has a mesh here, a bit like a trampoline, and it allows for the pack to ride away from your back and transfer all into your leg here. But the walking poles are left in the car, gutted. I would have liked to have bought them. Sometimes I will put creepypasta on this, which are like ghost stories. You can get some quite creepy ones, earphones on, pitch black outside, and absolutely frighten yourself to death. But I've got some steady music this time. I don't know if I'm coming down with something, but I am feeling a chill. So I'm going into my clothing allowance, which is just one stuff sack from a sleeping bag. And that's all I allow myself for a 60-litre camp out. And fleece tops and polyester hiking pants, things like that, spare socks, will do for about 2-3 days. If I do require extra clothing, I just transfer the brew kit onto the lid and attach the lid to the top of the Osprey pack. But I haven't actually got that far with it. So this is my secondary fleece layer. Oh, I need a hot brew. Take some painkillers and get an early night. But really, I want to know if a setup with my Exped down mat is going to be better, worse, or different, or even indifferent to an underquilt. Now I have got the top quilt and I'm using it, and I'm using my winter one as well, although it's not going to go below 0. I just sleep cold. I'm a cold sleeper, so I always get myself at least one season higher than I actually need, and that's a great tip if you are a cold sleeper. Don't believe the hype, what's written on it, its temperature ratings. Go a season higher than you need, or at least 15 degrees higher than you need. So if it says this bag is going to be comfortable at -10, get one that says it's going to be comfortable at -30, because these sleeping bag companies say things like that, so you buy them. and although it might cost just a few quid extra to go up in season on your sleeping bag, you won't regret it. Now we are in dark mode. See if there's a light anywhere. Ta-da! There you have it. I'm going to make some hot chocolate or Horlicks or something like that. I just need to clean out the pot that used to have the coffee in. And the tissue paper and hand sanitizer will also aid this. Come with me. Oh, it's just a little quick fire half I've knocked together. It's in a trench, set up in a cabin, and over that are the bigger logs, which I could saw, spending all my energy sawing the little baskets, but I don't. I just leave them all overhanging like that, and once these start burning and I need more fuel, I grab one and I move it along, move it up, and that is how I get away with not bringing a saw. I told you it's going to be one of them nights. I haven't even put any hot chocolate in, but what I have got are these 2 sugars and 2 whiteners from the British Army ration pack, and that in itself is going to make quite a nice drink. I have it quite often. I wish I'd have bought my Horlicks, because it really does set me off for the night. And I'm just going to fire up the stove one last time. So already I know I have some preferences. I love that little cassette stove, little beauty. On a camping trip, for practicability, it's got to be the Jetboil because it nests together. And also I prefer carrying water bottles on the Osprey pack. Where's the Osprey? Well, you can't see it, but I've got the bladder in the back of that, as we saw earlier, but it has 2 pockets, one either side, and it'll carry as much or as little water as I want, and I prefer bottles. Let me just turn that light down a bit and blinding myself here. Yeah, I prefer about a litre each side, maybe 1.25 litres. That gives me 2.5 litres. For winter, probably, yeah, about 2.5 litres. I'm going to listen to some music and turn it in. Nighty night. Made it through the night. Oh, let me take this off. Yeah. Oh. The underquilt is certainly warmer, a lot warmer. This is a strange hammock. It really is a strange hammock to come to terms with. Because of the cut of the material, it's not cut in a rectangle. There's a bit of damp in here as well. Yeah, there's plenty of ventilation. Oh man, I don't know what time it is. Right, I'm going to brush my teeth and make a coffee and see what comes of it. Right, that's my little tiki pegs done. The reason I think I've got a bit of damp in the bottom of the hammock, which has made the pad damp, is I think the drip lines have failed. because they weren't covered by the actual tarp itself, which I did suspect might happen. This is the line for the tarp, which is quite dry, very dry, but it could have done with a drip stop here somewhere. This line here, a little damp there, but it's covered by the tarp and comes to this drip stop here. Yeah, that's damp, but beyond that is dry. I don't think that's damp there, and the damp doesn't start till down here somewhere, so it's wicked. Just have to find out where from. This should be covered by the tarp. That is wet. That is wet. The drip stop is working as it should. It's wet, but it's also wet the hammock. So this should have been more covered, which meant I'd have had to pull the tarp down and up also. So let me see. This would go up to here and then further over to there. I think that was the problem. This is the actual pad itself, which is kind of de-inflated overnight. I'm not impressed with that. And it is damp. Bottom of the hammock. It'll dry out. It's just made for a miserable night. Right. Let's take one of these out of here. Scrunch that up. Bit of hand gel. Nice and rubbed in. It's pretty pointless lighting it, but you saw when I walked in that I bought the air pad out in a very small stuff sack. It's the one it comes with, and it's a bit of a pain to get in and out, but just because something comes in a particular size stuff sack doesn't mean you have to keep it in it. There's no such law. So I'm going from this one here, which is the one it came with and sits in the pack, to this one here. This is for any type of roll pad or air pad, but mine's going to sit on the outside of the pack. It's going to conserve space on the inside of the pack, and here's the opening, but mine gets stowed upside down so the rain can't get in from the top. The inflator bag, people say you can use as a stuff sack for your quilt or your sleeping bag. I don't think it's very good at doing that particular job. I've tried. I've got a proper stuff sack, but I'm just going to use my own little waterproof bag and put the whole lot inside. I'll be glad to see the back end of this camp. There you have it. I'm just going to cinch up the top like that. Two straps and a bottle in like that, and over the top like that, over the top That cinches down. I don't need to cinch down a hell of a lot. It's more just to keep it in place while it's riding on the outside of my pack. Mine rides vertically rather than horizontally. And there's mine. There's no need to keep a stuff sack if you're struggling with it. Change it out. Same story goes from hammock. I'm going to put it in a stuff sack that it's not really intended for. One that's much bigger. The one it came with made a cylindrical shaped package to travel with, and I'm not a fan of that either. I'd rather have everything flat packed to the same dimensions as my pack. So all I do is find stuff sacks that are a similar dimension to my pack. I found this one. This is the one that's meant for my quilt, but I've got my hammock in it now, and it looks quite big, but when it sits in the pack, just squash the air out and it sits amazingly thin in the pack, and that is the shape of my pack there. And I've got a few of these, all the same size, which I can stack on top of each other. Now sometimes I take an identical stuff sack for this here, the tarp, whether it be this nylon or the other polyester. But I have spotted something I might like in here, which is a preserve in my ration pack. That is refreshing first thing in the morning. Right, let's get the coffee on. Everything is on quick release knots, so I should just be able to pull on this. Let me just, I haven't got my glasses, can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just going to pull on this line here. There you go, towards the tree. All that comes undone. Holding it like that, I just make loops like that until it's all done. Now I could just drop feed this into it, into that section where you saw me stowed the tarp, but this works just as well. It's a lasso type technique that ranchers use to guarantee they don't tangle up the lines. And here's the tail end. Now if I just put this section here on top of my pack just loose, leaving this tail end available to me at any time, I can just pull that tail and it falls out of the pack and I don't have to worry about it tangling. Now what I did was leave my peanuts out so I could have them with a nice cup of tea in the morning. But the squirrels were out last night and they opened the tin like that and finished the whole lot off. I was really looking forward to them. Bit of coffee into that. Just going to simmer this for a few minutes. Right then. Totally seized up on this side. If you've got an 11-foot hammock, I would get an 11-foot tarp, and you're going to think, yeah, but that's going to be right at the very edges. It won't. One, when you sit in it, it'll sink in the middle anyway. And a lot of us have internal ridge lines for the hammock. And dip my biscuit in my coffee. An internal ridge line is set to 83% of your hammock, which means there's almost 20%, well, 17% shorter than the 11-foot. So that's 17% of 11-foot is shorter than 11-foot. So I can have an 11-foot hammock with a structural ridge line and an 11-foot tarp. I'm after a Dyneema Cuban fibre tarp. Very, very expensive. Cuban fibre, super light. I'm not sure how compact it's going to be, but it's going to be about 250–300 quid just for a tarp. And the little DD superlight did its job. It didn't leak. The only ingress of any damp was my own fault for not covering the drip stops, but we talked about that right at the beginning of the episode, and we knew that could happen. And really, as soon as it started raining, I should have readjusted that tarp. I'm assuming that was the problem and not the reflective under the pad, but I don't think that would make that much condensation, because it seemed to have wicked quite high up the hammock, well below, above where I was lying. Even in this moderate climate, I was a bit chilly. Not incredibly so that I'd want to pack up and go home, but always take your rubbish away. Damn squirrels. Look at that. They've even learnt to take the top off. I do have my Sargasso storm tarp. Rubbish it in the wind because it hangs very high up. You're very exposed, but at least not wet. So hopefully next time we'll have a much better camp, a lot cosier, a lot warmer. But will it be? Or will it be a total nightmare washout? You'll never know, unless you join me on Exped Out Surviving next time. Happy trails.